This is what I believe to be a 1941 Ford 9N tractor. It's a 9N based on the research I did looking it up, but it's interesting that it's got the casting on the engine blocks is 8N. So I'm assuming either maybe the engine was changed, or maybe it's a late model 9N. I don't know. But it says 8N on the engine, but judging by the everything else about the tractor, from what I can see, it looks like it's a 9N. Anyway, the problem is I bought this tractor a few years ago, worked great. I let the tractor sit over the course of the winter, and when I went to use it after it sat for several months, the clutch wouldn't disengage. It works fine, but it sticks. And I did some, you can see here, I've got a wooden block, and I wrote save on it so I wouldn't lose it. And so this was my temporary fix for a while. Whenever I was done using the tractor, I would always depress the clutch pedal and stick the wooden block under there, because then the next time I used the tractor, the clutch wouldn't stick right off the bat. Anyway, what it's doing is the tractor has once again sat. I've got a New Holland four-wheel drive tractor that I've borrowed, and I've been using that for the last several months. So this tractor just kind of went by the wayside. So what it's doing is, you can get it into neutral and start the tractor up, but you can't put it in gear. The friction disc and the pressure plate and the flywheel are all gummed up from what I'm assuming is a rear main seal leak. Oil's getting in there, it's gumming it up, and it's sticking engaged. It doesn't slip. So by keeping that block of wood under there, it actually keeps the clutch freed up somewhat. I found a quick fix, and it's more of a hack than it's not really a fix, I guess, but it's something that you can do to make your tractor usable. Everyone I talked to said I needed to split the case, separate the tractor, the two halves, take the clutch off, replace the rear main seal, put a new clutch on. I don't use this tractor enough to want to put that much money or time into it, for that matter. This tractor has very limited uses as far as the other tractor that I have. So for the most part, this tractor just sits. And when I do need to use it, it's nice that it works. But now the problem is it doesn't work because the clutch sticks. So anyway, this is more of a hack. I was reading up online, and a couple people said you could remove the starter, which I did do that, and try to clean the grease and debris off of the clutch. Well, when I pulled the starter out, in order to remove the starter, you got to pull these two bolts out. I think they're 7/16. There's one here and there's one way back here. You got to move the catch can, the oil filter, out of the way, because the starter comes all the way into here. So it's got to come way out. And also, what I should tell you is, if you do it this way, you got to remember this starter's in three major components, three pieces, and it will fall apart, and then you have to put it back together. You don't have to do it this way on this particular tractor, and I'll show you why. One more thing I should add is, down underneath, right underneath the bell housing, there's a little tiny hole that's made for seepage, I would imagine. So if your rear main seal is leaking, like is the case with this tractor, instead of the oil pooling up in the bell housing, because this is a dry clutch, it leaks out that hole. But I'm going to show you a hack, and it works, because I haven't done it now. It's been about 14 months, I think, since I last did this, and the clutch is just now starting to stick. So I'm going to show you what I do. Okay, on the right-hand side of the tractor, I don't know if this is all these tractors. I would assume it probably applies to the 9N, 2N, and 8N. There's a little inspection plate right here, a little tiny hole. It's a Phillips screwdriver right here. Twist that screw out a little bit, and this little hole opens up. And you can see the flywheel right there. I can turn the flywheel, the teeth of the flywheel. Now, when the clutch was bound right up, what I did was I just took a can of brake clean. Well, I put this catch can underneath the catch pan underneath that hole, and I took a can of brake clean, and I sprayed it around in there. It didn't really quite have the effect, but you can see, well, maybe you can't see, but the brake clean's running out the hole in the bottom. So I took a funnel, and I stuck a funnel in that hole. I'm not going to do that today because the clutch isn't sticking that bad. Like, it's not seizing. Like before, it would not release at all, and it would take 20 seconds of depressed pedal before it would release. It's not that bad right now. But what I did was I took a funnel, I stuck a funnel in there, and I started the tractor up, and with the tractor running, I poured probably about a gallon, maybe 2 gallons of kerosene right into this bell housing right here, and it was swishing around, and I mean, you know, some of it was coming back out the hole. Real slow, I poured it in there, and I let it all run out into a pan underneath, and that kerosene washed the oil and grime off the clutch. I followed it up with about a can or maybe 2 cans of brake clean, and then I let the tractor sit, and I changed the oil. And the reason why you change the oil after you're done is if that seal leaked oil out, it's likely that that seal could allow kerosene to get in, and you don't want to run it with kerosene in the crankcase. So it's a good idea if you're going to do this to change the oil. But basically, if you've got one that's mostly usable, and I say mostly usable meaning sometimes the clutch will disengage. If it's just absolutely stuck, this won't work. But what I found is, if it's mostly usable, what you can do is you can take a can of brake clean with the tractor running, and you can spray it in there, and it'll get all over the clutch, and it'll actually loosen up and dissolve the grime, and it'll fall out. It's probably not the best fix. I mean, obviously the best fix would be to split the tractor in half and put a new clutch, and you're talking several $100s, and I don't know how long that would take. It would probably take a day or so, or if you're just a weekend, it might take you the whole weekend to do it. But what I found is it's like a clutch tune-up in a can when it comes to these old Ford tractors. I figure a can of brake clean is a few bucks, and that's a lot cheaper than the amount of work it would take to take this apart and fix it the correct way. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a hack, but I don't use this tractor but maybe once or twice a month, if even that. Ever since the New Holland's been over here, you know, that's a 2015 model 4-wheel drive loader, you name it, 40 horsepower. This thing has pretty much been neglected, but I need this tractor for pulling for the driveway, for pulling the rake and whatnot behind it. So it's nice to have it, and I want it to work when I need it to work. I don't use it that often. So a real quick hack fix for a Ford tractor with a stuck clutch: loosen this little screw right here, move that out of the way, start it up, and just pour kerosene through this hole. And make sure you have something underneath to catch it, because it's going to run out the drain hole in the bottom. And once you're done with the kerosene, and what I did was I worked the clutch pedal up and down as I did it, and I would try to put it into gear by depressing the clutch, and I would find that would work. So real quick, real easy. If it's not that bad, use brake clean. Take your brake clean, start up the tractor, run it, spray it around in there as much as you can, and just make sure you have a catch can or something underneath, because it's going to run right out the bottom like it is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start this tractor up, and I'm going to empty the whole contents of this can inside there on the clutch, and I'm thinking that it's going to work when I'm done. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. Okay, it worked. The clutch disengages. Just real quick here, I wanted to show you. This is that little hole right there. You loosen that screw up right there, just enough. Pop this out of the way with a screwdriver. I don't know if you can see. Right in there, there's your teeth on your flywheel. And what I do is I just take that little hose and I just bend it every which way in there, and I just douse the whole thing with the can. Underneath here, you can see right there where that little piece of metal is. That's the drain hole. You can see it's dripping out of there. When I was doing it, when it was running right out of there. Then like I said, the last time I did this was probably, I'm guessing somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 months ago. And I used the tractor quite a bit right up to about 5 months ago when I got the newer tractor, and it worked great. So if somebody's looking to get a little more use out of their tractor and not spend the time and money it would take to separate the case and replace the clutch and the rear main seal, this would be a quick, easy hack fix, I guess. It's not really a fix, but it's a hack. It does work. So listen, if you like this video, if it was helpful, informative, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.